Hello, I'm Matthew Malcolm with Pacific Net Producer Magazine, reporting to you from the annual convention of the Almond Alliance of California. And one of our presenters today was Stacy Henderson, the Almond Alliance's official attorney. You do a great job at helping keep their members, out of trouble, and it's very common in the state of California, unknowingly, to make certain mistakes that can cause lawsuits. And wanted to talk, based on your presentation about the top 10 issues, costly issues, I wanted to talk about a couple of those key issues that you might be able to give some recommendations to farmers, to stay out of trouble here.
All right. So two of the things that we're going to talk about are the rate of pay for paid sick leave, and then we're also going to talk about meal and rest periods. So the rate of pay for paid sick leave is supposed to be the regular rate of pay that you give to your employee. So if you pay your employee anything other than a base hourly rate, if you give them any bonuses, if you give them any additional compensation for housing, or you give them additional compensation for not being on your health care plan, anything like that, you need to add that compensation in to the employee's regular rate of pay. So if you do anything other than pay your employees a straight base hourly rate, then you should consult with your attorney and make sure that you're calculating the regular rate of pay appropriately, because paid sick leave needs to be paid at the employee's regular rate of pay. The second thing I wanted to talk about are meal and rest periods. We continue to see lawsuits come in on a very, very regular basis because the employees are not documenting the time in which they are taking their meal periods, or they are not taking their meal periods for a full 30 minutes, or they're taking them late. And so you want to make sure that you're always documenting on the time cards when your employees are taking their meal periods, the start time and the stop time, and make sure that they are complying with all of the laws. Rest periods aren't typically documented on time cards specifically, but we'd always encourage employers to somehow document them, even if it's just checking a box to show that they are taking their rest periods, or signing a certification to confirm that they took their rest periods. Those are some of the most costly mistakes that we see, and they are easily avoided if we just use our documents appropriately.
You mentioned an example today about just messing up missing some information on their time card, like their state. What are the ramifications of even a simple mistake like that?
Sure. So your wage statement is actually what it is. So your wage statement, or your paycheck stub, that is supposed to include a number of items, and those are found in Labor Code Section 226. And you have to include every single thing that applies to you in Labor Code Section 226 on your wage statement. If you do not do that, you can get penalties, and the penalties can range from $50 per wage statement per employee, and there's no limit on that. It can go all the way back to 4 years. So the penalties can start at $50. They can go up to $250 per wage statement per employee. So it can be very, very expensive if you make a simple mistake like just not having the correct address for your company on your wage statement.
So yeah, there's a lot that can happen, and I think as people in general, whether you're a farmer or not, it's like we hope for the best in people, and a lot of us have family businesses that we operate, and we like to trust our employees, and that basic trust, and so may lacks on some of those basic things that we need to have, especially in a state like California. You mentioned that we just can't trust anyone to that degree. Anything else you have to say about that?
Yeah, it's not so much that we can't trust that they're going to do their jobs appropriately, or trust that they're going to be good people, but you can't trust that they're not going to change their mind. So if they ever say, oh, I don't need to take a meal period, or don't pay me for overtime today, it's okay. If they ever change their mind, and many of them do when they're no longer working for you, or they're upset with you about something, there are certain rights that they just can't waive under the law. So as many times as they want to tell you that they're not going to sue you and it's okay with them and this is what they want, they cannot waive those rights under the law. And so ultimately, if they ever change their mind, they can always come after you. It's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. Yeah,
well, thank you, Stacy, for helping keeping us out of trouble and keep the farmers farming.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
thanks again for joining us today. Read more about these things in Pacific Nut Producer Magazine. I'm Matthew Malcolm, CaliforniaAgNet.com.